So at some point you're going to have to reload your sounds on the D70, and I make the assumption that at some point you will have to do this. And the reason for that is that the D70, like many of the legacy pieces of tech, has a battery, typically the CR2032 battery, and that keeps the sounds in memory. Now, if that battery needs replacing, then you're going to have to go through this procedure because you will have corrupted the memory and lost your sounds. You can also corrupt the memory in other ways, which will force you to do a reload to factory. Now, the way the D70 restore works, unlike prior versions like the D50 where you could just overwrite the sounds, on the D70 you actually have to go through an erase mode first. So effectively what you have to do is have to clear everything down, and then you reload from the factory card. And they make a big thing about reloading from the factory card on the D70 rather than reloading from another card. And I don't know why that is, but they do make a big thing about it. I have never seen a factory card for the Roland D-70. I do have a clone. Okay, I bought this about 2.5 years ago, and it's probably one of the most important cards I keep around, like I keep my restore card for my M1 and my D50 as well. So you do need to get hold of one of these if you can. They are floating around on eBay for $10 to $20 typically. I've never seen any in Europe, but typically they're $10 to $20. So get yourself one of these if you own a D70. It's an invaluable piece of kit to have in the arsenal. Anyway, in order to do the reload, this is what you do. So the first thing to do with everything you do in this process is switch the power off. We now switch the D70 on to boot it into a mode to erase the memory. Do that by pressing the 8 key and switching the D70 back on. It will now boot up. You will note that on the screen now it asks us, do we want to clear the memory? Yes, we do. So we now press the enter key to proceed. The screen momentarily goes blank at this point, and then you'll see it boot as if it was booting normally. However, when you look at the sounds on the D70's screen here, they all are a load of rubbish, which indicates no sounds are loaded. It's at this point you need to load the memory card into the RAM slot. Do not load this into the PCM slots. We now need to switch off the software protection. That switch is located on the rear of the machine between the RAM card and the contrast. Switch this switch to off. It's this point where we now tell the D70 we're going to load new sounds in. We do this by pressing the edit key to enter the system menu. We are presented with 5 options on the edit menu. Option 5 is the system setup, and that is accessed by pressing F5. We now need to tell the keyboard that we want to copy sounds from the card into the keyboard. We do that by pressing F1, which is signified by I to C. By using the value key, highlight the direction area and make sure it says RAM card to internal of the 3 modes available. Now we need to tell the keyboard what we're copying. In this instance, we want to copy everything off the system restore card. We do that by selecting all, which is F3. We're now in a position to instigate the transfer. We do that by pressing the F1 key. And once we press the F1 key, the keyboard will ask us to confirm by pressing the enter key. The transfer itself happens very quickly. So once enter is pressed, it says complete and it goes back to the system setup menu. You press exit twice to exit this menu. and you'll still see that a load of gobbledygook is on screen. We now need to reboot. So switching the power off and letting it power back up, the D-70 will now reload all the sounds. And we can now see the factory presets have been reloaded. To finish the reload process, we just need to switch the software protect back on.